Hello.
Hello.
Woo! We are live.
Oh yeah, baby.
It's Monday, people. It's so funny that so many people are like, "Oh, it's Monday." That's like the narrative. And like as an entrepreneur, I've always really enjoyed Mondays. Like, and especially now that we do our lives, I'm like, this just makes Monday more fun.
Yeah, I think Monday is a state of mind, right?
Yes.
It's totally especially when you're going into a week of doing something you really fucking hate. Like I get it. Actually, more heart attacks happen on Mondays than any other day of the week.
Oh.
There is some like science behind why Mondays are
Yes.
so
Maggie coming to us with the science on Monday.
Yeah, right.
I love it.
But I used to do a blog called Mita, It's Monday, to try to give some like uplifting mindset work for the week. But yeah, I totally feel you too. It's like, oh, I just get to keep doing what I.
Like yesterday was Sunday and I was like, oh, okay. Like I took some time off, but I did some work. And then I'm like, oh man, it's Monday tomorrow. And I'm like, but all of my days kind of feel kind of the same just based on what I end up doing. And so like, I don't think of it as, Monday or yay, Friday or what, I don't know. It's just like, I don't know what day it is. I'm just doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of beautiful thing too. Not to get too sidetracked, but I think this is really important. Like so many people bring these like masculine male dominated structures into their business. Like, they hate it when they're doing it for somebody else. And yet they bring the same structures in with them to their own businesses. And so it's like, you're not actually, you're just bringing more of what you hate into, this thing that you were trying to create. And it's nice to be able, like, we have structures in place and systems in place, but they are designed to like support us and not to feel like oppressive and force us into doing things we don't want to do. So it's really liberating.
So on that note, if you haven't already seen, we have officially launched our academy. Woo! Your fingers. We're so excited, you guys. This is going to be amazing. And we really wanted to use our live this week to explain to you a little bit more. We have done a podcast in the past. I know some of you caught the podcast episode that we did about it when we were like in development phase. So this was like pre. Now,
God, that seems like
I know it's crazy, like how far, but it's been nuts. Like we've been working on this like for like the past 6 months, like for the past good 6 months. And we are officially launching like this. I mean, we're enrolling and like we start next week and for the first round, and we are over the moon. It is called Freedom Mindset Academy. For those who haven't seen it yet. And we're just going to give you kind of like the whole rundown of how it goes so you can get an idea of maybe how this can be something that can help you in the new year achieve your goals as an entrepreneur, building your business sustainably, beating burnout, trying to have more by doing less, and actually accomplishing it without sacrificing yourself. And long story short, this is everything that Maggie and I have learned, paid for coaches, thousands and thousands of dollars over the last 10 plus years of our journeys that we are putting into this program. So you don't have to go searching for it everywhere. And this is basically what we needed. When we started our journeys. And we're so excited to be able to have this vehicle now to be able to share with people in such an easy to learn and easy to use way that yields results. I don't know. I mean, that's it.
When I was like setting my intention this morning before I got out of bed, I was just like, we're in roll mode. We're trying to find people to serve with this. We're in the process of finding people to serve with this week, especially. And I'm just so excited. My intention was really just to be filled with this energy of like being able to bring this to people so that they don't have to keep living their lives. Like the thing about burnout is it happens cyclically. And if you don't address the root issues, you're gonna go through these cycles of burnout and recovery, and then burnout and recovery, and you're gonna continue doing this until you find out why you're burned out in the first place, and you actually address what the hell is going on. And so to be able to pull people out of those cycles and to guide them towards the kind of freedom they wanted to create when they branched off and started their own businesses to begin with, and to just like show them how to do this in a way that's sustainable, where they get to love themselves through it, is such a gift. And I was really just like all circled up and loved up in that intention this morning. So
I love that. I love it. No, I feel the same way. Like I was talking to a friend of mine about it yesterday, and I was like, honestly, like Noël and I have had so many people come to us. We've encountered so many entrepreneurs throughout our journeys, and they always come to us and ask us certain questions. They're like, oh, I love that you do this. How can I participate in this? How can I do that? What can I do? And we're able to like give some nuggets of information or throw them a gig here and there and be like, yeah, come join us, come learn, come whatever. But it just has not been enough to give like I was talking to someone yesterday and being like, if I put everyone in my boat, then I'm going to sink, like I have to make sure that I start helping people build their own boats, know? And so I finally feel like with us collaborating together that we have, again, this new vehicle that is allowing us to give so much information in one container that is yielding results that we've already been using on our one-on-one clients and in this small group, experience. And then also they get privates and all of these things. And we'll tell you what you get here in a bit. But just all of this way to do it in this 4-month container is just, finally, I can reach back out to all of my entrepreneur friends and be like, hey, listen, I actually have the answers you've been looking for. And like, I can help you now,
Right.
And that's just like, so like, that just makes my heart happy,
Yeah. Seriously.
So.
I think the idea that it is really possible to break out of these cycles, to create change, to not go through life feeling so exhausted, to not go through life feeling like you're not doing enough, to not continually be adding more on your plate, to like actually be doing the things that you need to do in order to progress yourself and your business and your goals, instead of just like filling your day up with busy work, to like implementing boundaries. I mean, this shit is like, it's so good, because you really like, it sounds like one of those like, lose 20 pounds without exercise in 5 days. Like it sounds like, well,
I would hope it doesn't sound quite like that. We do have, like, I don't want to make it so like have more by doing less. It's like, yes, but that maybe does.
But you like, it sounds too good to be true, but it really is so simple. And the methods that we have ensure that it works. Like it's, it sounds impossible, but when you really take a look at like how much you're doing, you don't fucking need to be doing. And like
what you're filling your days with. Exactly. I mean, we were just talking yesterday. We were in a work session yesterday and you were like, Christine, I am the busiest I've ever been. And I am the
more on my plate than I've ever had on my plate before.
And you're the most calm.
Yeah. And I'm getting 9 hours of sleep a night. I'm like cooking myself full meals. I'm walking my dogs. I'm going to get a mani-pedi this week during lunch. Like, and you got a massage?
I did. I got a massage a couple days ago. I was like, you know what? Yeah, we're in launch week. Let's go. Like, I don't feel stressed about it.
Whenever have like during my previous launches, it's like I am working like 19 hours a day.
That's it.
And not, not driving success, not seeing the results that I wanted to see either, because it's not, I didn't have all the systems in place.
That's it. Yeah. So it's working. For those, really asking the questions, like we're implementing these strategies into our own life. And as crazy busy as it is as an entrepreneur to launch your own business, to do all the marketing, all of the things, you can go look at our websites. We've built everything ourselves. We didn't outsource a lot because we didn't feel we needed to.
Because we've taken our time.
We took our time. Maggie has, made it very clear that she is expecting, which is amazing. And she's been crushing it. Yeah. And,
I can do this while I'm pregnant. no energy and super sick. I mean, it's just
Exactly.
I think further proof that the shit works.
That's it. My husband has a couple businesses that I've been helping him with. One has been taking off like crazy in the last few months, which has been a weird timing for the academy that I've been launching with Maggie. And I've been able to balance it because we've been implementing systems. And so the whole adding to your plate thing, as you said before, I just want people to know, like, I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are scared to add more to their plate because they're like, oh my gosh, I know what happened when I did that. I burnt out. I finally figured out what the answer was. I took everything out, and then now I don't know how to add it back in without burning out again.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing, is like, we don't want you to have an empty plate. We want you to be full. We want you to have, abundance. We want you to have a successful, thriving business. We want you to have it all, but you don't need to do it the way that you've done it in the past.
Right.
And that's the thing. Maggie and I, our plates are full right now, and holidays are coming up. So now family is going to be added to the plate. I mean, there's all the things coming, but like when you apply these strategies and this method that we have, like we're good. Like we're good, and we're maintaining it all, and we can get the 9 hours of sleep, like you said, and we can get the massages and the pedicures, and we can enjoy our life. And that's what's happening. So
live in the house you're building, baby.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I love that. I say that all the time. Okay. So let's get into it. Let's talk about first, like the kind of person who really is going to apply for this, like who is this a good fit for?
Yeah. So we're targeting this towards entrepreneurs, though we feel strongly that this can benefit anyone. But obviously the more that you're balancing, the more that you have on your plate, and the more burned out you feel, the more aligned this program is for you. So this is for people who are in cycles of burnout, who struggle to say no, and who continually add more to their plate, who are feeling, so burnout feels like exhaustion. It feels like, it can often like feel like you're snapping at people, or you're like breaking down emotionally. It feels like you're like one straw away from totally breaking down. It feels like intensive stress. That's just sort of what it like internally, what it feels like. On the outside, it looks a lot like having, long to-do lists and never really, working countless hours, but not getting any closer towards your goals. It looks like having, problems with your mindset and not feeling really energized or enthusiastic about beginning your day, not really knowing where to start, not having organized systems. So anybody who is in business and who is miserable right now, I would say this program is for you.
But it doesn't also have to be misery. I would say just more, yes, that's obviously like a lot of people extreme. Are going through that. And that is extreme, but also we just went through a pandemic, and New Year's resolutions are coming up and all this stuff. And so like that there are a lot of people out there that are feeling that exact way. But also as an entrepreneur, if you're wanting to scale your business, if you're wanting to start a business, if you're wanting to create your own dream and you don't have the guide for it, like nobody teaches us how to do this, how to build a sustainable entrepreneurial lifestyle. Everybody teaches us how to be an employee, not how to be an employer. And we're basically just collecting data from Instagram posts and some coaches and other friends that have started businesses, and just trying to figure it out, trial and error. And that's causing the burnout as well, because it's just a mental like, oh, now I spent more money and I made a mistake or whatever. And then there's this stress that's happening when you really should be enjoying the process of building your dream. So it's more that it doesn't have to be quite misery just yet. It can just be like, you just feel lost and stuck and like, I want to do all these things, but I have no idea how to do any of them, or I have no idea how to get started or how to scale. That is also someone who's a really good fit for this.
Totally. And that's like what I was describing is like the extreme, like that is the person in the burnout, like currently. And so you may have experienced feeling like that and not feel like that now, and want to be like, how do I stay in the zone where I am not feeling?
How do I avoid it? Yeah,
exactly. And especially for people who are starting their own businesses, like why wait to, you know, drive yourself into a burnout, why not start off with these really strong systems in place? So, you know, anybody who is wanting to create more time in their day, create systems, follow through on habits, and actually fucking follow through on them. Like, learn how to implement new habits and new systems into your day. Anybody who's really looking to scale their business without adding on 10 hours of work a day, anybody who is looking to create space and freedom in their life, this program is for.
Yeah. My fellow perfectionists, my recovering perfectionists, like, calling all of you, like, this has saved me, like, for sure. And as Maggie said, like, be preventative, you know, like, if you're not quite in that burnout stage yet, but we've all experienced some sort of burnout in our life, then we need to create, my husband just came home.
Hello.
Yeah, if you're not quite in that state just yet, like, we don't wait, you know, until you know, actually break your arm, you know, to go to, like, let's prevent, you know, like, now we're preventing sickness and stuff by taking vitamins and supplements and things like that. Like, don't wait till you're sick to take care of yourself, essentially. And that's kind of what, you know, what we're trying to do here. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So if, let's talk about also, like, who we are and how we came together. Not too detailed about it, because we've did some past lives about, like, you know, our stories. We talked about our burnout stories. Feel free to go back in the guides and see that, because that's a great live. But what Maggie and I both bring to the table, you know, because we are both experts and specialize in different things, but they complement each other so very well and almost are necessary in order to create this result that we're sharing.
Yeah.
You see? So Mags, why don't you start and just talk about kind of like what you do in, you know, what you specialize in.
Yeah. So what I find is, like, clients come to me thinking that there is something wrong with them and that they are, like, broken and they need fixing, that successful people have something internally that they don't. Some, you know, their brains are wired differently. And while our brains are super malleable and are constantly changing with every experience, like, every breath we take, our brain is changing, right? So super successful people probably do have differently wired brains, but you are not, like, there's nothing holding you back from rewiring your brain to be like that. Yes. Like, there aren't just people who are this way who are successful and who are not successful. Like, sure, there are personality traits that drive people in different ways, but it is possible to rewire any brain. Yeah, it is possible. And, like, my work revolves around using the latest brain research and science to not only show you that it's possible, to show you that there's not something wrong with you, but to show you how you've been working against yourself and trying to beat yourself into submission and actively working against your biology. So we evolved very specific brain functions to keep us alive, but our evolution is, like, outdated by several hundreds of thousands of years. So our society is rapidly changing. It can change drastically in a matter of a decade or a century. Our biology, it takes much longer to catch up with that. So the work that I do is just showing people what's actually going on the inside, and working with that specifically to rewire, retrain their brains, and just letting them know, like, it's so possible. There is not, like, some secret, like, you know, kind of person who is better at this than other people. It's just rewiring the brain. And it's, like, very systematic, and it takes consistency, but, like, eventually it just becomes who you are. And I really approach self-love and self-worth through the lens of science. So I'm, like, deep into, like, tantric practices, and, like, I get really woo and I get out there.
Yeah.
And I can bring that to the table if somebody's ready for it. But what I really try to share, because I think it's more accessible to more audiences, is that, like, you can approach self-love. Self-love is the root of all of this. If you don't care or love yourself, why? Why would you
Right.
be trying to make yourself better? Why would you be,
Mhm.
striving to be more successful?
Mhm.
Right? It's like you are taking care of you is the root of all of this. And so that's what we address first. And I address that through science, through the
Right.
latest research, through what it says about self-compassion and
Mhm.
self-love, through how that grows and evolves us as a being and actually makes us better instead of like being hateful to ourselves, for example, and trying to like whip ourselves into doing whatever we think we need to do. So that's the long-winded version.
I love it. That's good.
What
Yeah.
what I do. And again, it's like, it's science-based,
Mhm.
it is like, we say self-love, it sounds like kind of soft and like,
Bubble baths and
yeah, but it's so much more than that. And I
so
think
much more.
that it's really appealing to address it in terms of the research,
Mhm.
because it's like, see, do you see it? It's right in front of you.
Right.
Like it is proven,
Well, it also doesn't feel like we're doing something wrong or that we're broken. It's like, oh, wait, like, it's kind of like when women discover all the hormonal stuff that's going on. It's like, oh, wait, I'm actually not a bitch 5 days out of the month for no reason. It's like a chemical thing,
Right.
So it's like, I think that's very important for people to understand that like just because there is something biological happening, it does not mean that you can't help make it work for you instead of working against you.
Right.
And that just takes the right tools.
Yep.
So yeah. So with me, I am working with all of the sustainable parts of things. So sustainable habits, sustainable systems, organizing your life, taking your business and your life as well, because I don't believe that they're interdependent from each other. And Maggie and I talk about this all the time. Like you are your business. Right. So if you're not surviving and you're just like living in survival mode, then your business is going to live in survival mode. Like that's just how it's going to go. And you're going to reflect that onto your business. So we want to get you into healthy morning routines and habits and, systems. If you go on a trip, like this is the biggest thing people have asked me all the time. How do you travel all the time and then come back and then just live your life? And I talk about this constantly, but it's like, now I can finally share the depths to what happens when I do that and why it works and why I just have all of these like disciplines in place that I've had for years that are now they're just a part of me. And so that helps keep me going when I have busy cycles and seasons of my life. And yeah, just again, like what Maggie said, taking apart your schedule and really not, seeing what is keeping you busy. Cause so many people say they're busy, but then they like look and they're like, wait a minute, that's not like, I'm not really, those are things that you are not, are those things serving your bigger goal? Like, that's what we're looking at. Like, I help a lot of my clients that we start immediately with like, what is it we're trying to accomplish? What are you spending your day doing? And how are these two parallel? Because a lot of times there's just a few things that match up and it's like, wait, now we understand why you're not getting to your goal, because look at all the things you're doing that are not serving that goal.
Right.
So we really dissect, how that works, work on getting you motivated in the right direction and feeling like you're working towards the bigger thing. And just putting all of those necessary systems in place. And together, like you're going to have, I always say sometimes you're going to go down before you go up. You're going to have days where it's like, oh, you feel like you're moving backwards instead of forwards. It's like, is this working? And that's where Maggie, the mindset comes into place. And I do a lot of mindset too, but now like with her brain science and everything, like it's so obvious like where we could go with this. And she is going to blend it all together and help you with that fear of rejection and that self-doubt. Like, is this going to work? Like fear of failure. I don't want to share this with my family because I'm scared of what they're going to say. Like, this is not my identity, like identity crisis, imposter syndrome, all that stuff that entrepreneurs go through that is totally normal because society doesn't teach us how to be this way. And we're kind of trying to like, be a glitch in the matrix and change the mold. And together with the systems, knowing that the systems will yield results if you're just consistent with them and you execute them with intention. And then Maggie's going to help you with all of that. Like, we got this, like, let's get on, twice a week, we'll jump on calls and we'll be available to you when you're having those low moments and be like, you know what, this week is just a shit show and it's not doing it for me. And we can help you through that and be like, okay, let's dissect what's really happening here and find the root cause and figure out how we can work through this and understand that it is progress. It's just moving through the feelings, you know?
Well, I mean, and like, it sounds funny to say, but like, I say this all the time about healing, but it's the same is true about progress because I think that they are interchangeable, but it's not linear.
No.
Like, it's not just like in the way that our minds process like point A to point B, right? There are going to be, you know, we're trying to eliminate a lot of these zigzags, but you're going to hit things that are triggering pieces of your identity as you grow and evolve and change as you move towards your goals. Like, here's the thing, people don't do what they think they can. They act in accordance with who they believe they are. And so if you are trying to achieve goals that are not in alignment with who you believe you are as a person, you're not going to be able to be consistently showing up for those goals.
Yeah.
So
you're going to be challenged to test that identity and be like, who are you actually showing up as? If you're trying to be this person that is successful and showing up for your business and doing all that, and then you're like not working on your business and you're procrastinating and you're sleeping in all the time, you know what I'm saying? Like, then that's your identity. You're going to hit an identity crisis there in the middle. And it's going to be like, who is this, you know?
And it oftentimes, like, just for following that example, people self-sabotage when they are seeking success and they get a taste of it and it doesn't align with who they think they are. So if they, you know, if they're not a person who follows through, if they're a person who stays small, if they are not fully like a full body yes for the value of the work that they're adding, if they think that they're taking from people, they're going to start self-sabotaging. And that's what happens when you like, you start procrastinating and you start, you know, getting muddied up in the details or like sleeping through things and canceling appointments. Like, this is why you need both of them together, because, and this is what I love that you bring to the table, is that before, or when you're working on your own, you create like, okay, this is my plan. This is how my day is going to go. And this is how I'm going to work towards my goals. And then when something doesn't work, you're just like, oh, none of it works. Right. The whole thing, let's burn the whole thing to the ground. And you're back where you started. But it's the beauty of working with people as you're going through this process is you're going to run into things that don't work. Right. But you're not going to quit this time. No. You're going to like recalibrate.
You have to optimize. Yeah. Exactly. You get feedback results, and most people, that's the biggest thing. We're coming up on New Year's, and I hate saying New Year's resolutions because I think resolutions are ridiculous, and y'all can listen to my podcast on resolutions versus intentions to get my TED talk on that. But basically, like, people get so excited about something. They jump on a trend. They're thrilled to start doing this. And then they have no system in place. They do have a system in place. They hire a trainer, they do whatever. They get the first, feedback results, and they're like, oh man, it's not what I expected. Or it doesn't, that it's not, they completely lose the first round of motivation and drive, and they don't optimize to get better results. And they just drop off in February. And so many people do that. And we just like, there's a better way to do it. And so, yeah, like Maggie was saying, like, things are going to happen. You're going to get bumps in the road that, like, you're never going to hit a bullseye on the first try.
Yep.
Like, I mean, never say never. That could happen totally. But let's just assume that you don't hit the bullseye on the first try. So you hit somewhere else on the board, and then you see, okay, wait, hang on. That strategy wasn't bad, right? I definitely can like still throw this way, and I can stand over here, but maybe I should use a different dart. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I should throw with my left hand instead of my right hand. Like, you need to start optimizing in order to, now you get a second round of feedback results. Right. And ideally it's better, Sure. And so that is where so many people are just like, they don't know how to keep going because that's hard, you know?
And I know, like, especially for clients that I've worked with in the past, you've been like, oh, can we postpone this week's meetings? Like, I didn't do what I said I was going to do. And I was like, no, we need to meet.
Right.
We need to talk about,
more so,
yeah, we need to talk about why your work didn't get done and because it's not like, this is journey oriented, the work that we're doing. It is not about the end result. Although, like, the more you focus on the journey, the greater the likelihood that your end result is going to come faster and in the way that, you imagined it to. But it's having this accountability for like when you don't show up the way that you say you're going to, and like it not being like you're not in trouble, right? Like you're not going to detention. It's like this is an opportunity to see what's not working.
Yeah, let's face it. Because when you're not, it's kind of like when someone says, when you like have a problem with someone and then they're like, oh, well, what do you mean? And you're like, well, I can't think of any examples right now, right? But you're like in the moment, you're so heated. And then it's like next time it happens, you just want to bring it up because you're like, this is what I was talking about, right? Mm-hmm. But it's the same thing for your own personal growth. Like when you feel happy and you're excited about life and you're like, no, I'm motivated, let's go. And then you drop and all of a sudden you have a day that's just not great and you're sad and you're just feeling like there's so much doubt around you. That's the day that you should look in the mirror and do some journaling and do some growth work and be like, what is happening? Mm-hmm. And because like you're slowly peeling back layers, like that's the mm-hmm. idea. It's not going to be smooth sailing and it shouldn't be, because you need to go deep and figure out those limiting beliefs. And the more deeper you get into your growth journey, the more you're going to see those, because you have to unwrap them, deal with them, figure out how to fix them, and then move forward so you don't have to worry about them in the future.
Right.
And so people look at that as like setbacks. I'm like, no, that's actually really good. These are like, you're finally able to open up to yourself and see what you're really dealing with here. And now you can actually like fix that problem, do the mindset work around it. And now it's not going to bother you in the future. And if it does trigger you, you have systems in place that it won't affect your growth.
Yeah. I mean, in no scenario are you going to pursue your growth and your progress and your success and your healing and not encounter like massive roadblocks. In no scenario.
Totally. No.
So like do it with support, right?
Yes.
When you can be in a conscious container where you can rewire and actually like take a look at yourself. We talk about this when we go into self-compassion in the course. Like mm-hmm. when you're really hard on yourself, when you have shame about something, it's too painful to look at. Right. And so you can't look at it. And so you can't grow, right? You're going to shove all that shit in a closet, but it's still going to be there when you open up the closet again. It doesn't go away. It doesn't like self-organize. So I think, being really clear, like this work, and in no scenario is it just like smooth sailing. Right. That's why having accountability and having support to navigate the like choppy waters is so important.
Yep. So good. So now, assuming this is all a good fit for you, you feel like, yes, I'm feeling that. That sounds like me. I need this. Let's get started with our goals in 2022 right now. What are we getting, Mags? What's the program look like? What's the academy look like?
Yep. So you get 12 weeks of online coursework. This is truly just transformative. I mean, like years of research has gone into creating this. Years of proven implementation and results have gone into creating this. Some weeks are more intensive than others, but it is so it's totally self-paced, and each week comes along with like great coursework and resources. You'll get videos to follow along with, meditations, and
worksheets, downloadables, you can fill things out, all of that. So you can actually customize the work to you.
Yep. And like quizzes to go through to assess yourself.
The quizzes are my favorite. I love the quizzes.
Fun. And just tons of exercises. So we're bringing together like what we implement with our one-on-one clients in this program. Yeah. So it's like, it's packed full of goodness.
Yeah.
And again, that's self-directed. So you will be able to move through it at your own pace. And what we love about this is that it's really 12 weeks of coursework. So that's 3 months. You can do the math. But we're giving, you have access to this container of coaching, which we'll get more into in a second, for 4 months. So even though the coursework is really only supposed to take 3 months, we know life happens and
skip a week.
Exactly.
Right.
So you have 4 months inside of the coaching container, which sort of brings us to the next point. We have weekly coaching calls, but before that, I do want to mention, right? So even though you're only going to get the live coaching for 4 months, you have, of course, lifetime access to the program.
Oh, to the coursework online.
The
Yes.
course content.
Very important.
And then as we add more to it, as we learn more, as we create more resources, like you'll have access to all the newbies that we add.
That is like the coolest thing for me. Cause like I've been talking to people about like the future of like universities, essentially, you know, how everyone's like, oh, do I go to college? Do I not go to college? Like that's become like a whole thing now. And I feel like this whole hiring a coach, whether it's a life coach or business coach or manifestation coach or whatever it may be, like so many people now are giving at lifetime access to be able to share because we are continuing to grow as coaches.
Absolutely.
And so like to be able to have, like, you can't go to a university and pay like 50 grand and then spend like 4 years. I mean, 50 grand, maybe a year. I don't even know what universities cost anymore. Yeah. Spend 4 years. And then it's like, oh, well, when they upgrade their books or they upgrade their curriculum, you get access to all that. It's like, no. You've done your curriculum. You're outdated. Like you got your degree. Let's move on. But with us, it's like, and we have that too. We've hired coaches, the same thing. They've upgraded their programs. We have new information, like direct from the source of what's working for them now in this moment in 2021. And so like that for me is the future of learning, you know, like we're in it. And to be able to continue to update our curriculum that our past clients, even if they're not directly working with us anymore, they can still have access to that. Yep. Like how amazing is that?
So good.
Sorry, I get just really excited about that. I'm like, this is like, we're changing the face of education.
It's true. And it's the most up to date. So it's like, you know, you don't have to wait for a new edition to come out and for like all the, you know, the publication process and everything.
That's right.
It's just right there. It's right there. So easily accessible. Yeah. It really is like, it's
so amazing. Yeah. And it's like 1,000 times cheaper than university.
Seriously.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, for sure.
So then we were talking about the weekly lives.
Yep. So we have weekly small group Q&A workshops. So I will be taking one and then Christine will be taking one. And this is sort of like, I mean, it's like a Q&A style. So you'll have the time and space to ask any questions that you have. We will literally stay until all your questions are answered. Yep. So it's, you know, it's a beautiful way to not only hear your cohorts' questions and sort of to learn from other people and their experiences, but it's a great place to have all of your questions answered in the moment. Yeah. And it gives that, you know, so you're getting one-on-one support inside of a group setting.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. And people are sharing and commenting and, you know, again, the learning from other people that are already, you know, everyone's in a different spot in their entrepreneurial journey. And so you get to really like take advantage of us being there for you and focusing on you and your question in that moment. But then when someone else says something, then like we can all collaborate and we can all share together and make sure that, you know, there's a lot of support there.
Yeah. And so then the last component is one-on-one coaching calls with us. So we found that with other group programs, like that's really a piece that's missing. So you are getting like one-on-one support in the group coaching calls. Like it's just, you know, you get to come off mute and ask your questions specifically. And, you know, it's directed at you specifically and whatever your questions are. But we know that having this private one-on-one container is also super powerful and something that's missing from many group coaching courses.
Yeah.
Ow, my dog is kicking me in the back. So we have scheduled one-on-one calls that you can book with us at strategic times during the course. And you'll get one with me and one with Christine. And it's just another great opportunity of like more touches. And they're exactly. And they're scheduled purposely at specific times in the coursework so that you get that one-on-one attention that you need to set you up for success. So we really love that aspect of the program. It's like truly a hybrid model. Yeah. So you're getting like the online coursework, but you're also getting tons of weekly FaceTime with us to ask your question. Yeah. Because
I think it's really important to have that like, oh, okay, I've got a call, you know, on Monday, or I've got a call on Friday, and that's really important to know that, like, I have some support. And that for entrepreneurs, I think the biggest thing, that you can relate to is we always have to be on. We always have to show that we like know what we're talking about, and we can't go through imposter syndrome. We're faking it till we make it and figuring it out. And, we have to make sure our brand looks polished and all of that. Meanwhile, inside we're like not feeling that, and we're scared. And like, is that the right thing to put out? And am I doing enough? And we have all these fears and doubts. And so within these calls, you are able to really share with other entrepreneurs and be vulnerable and be transparent and be like, listen, like this week just wasn't it for me. Right. And it just like, I couldn't get, sales. I couldn't figure this out. This was not working. And you don't have to feel like someone's going to judge you, or you are talking to a potential client that's going to like not buy from you because they're seeing your weaknesses. Like these were all things that I specifically, and Maggie too, but like speaking for myself, I was dealing with and feeling like I just can't I can't let my walls down because everyone is a potential client, or everyone is going to see that I'm not cutting it, and they're going to like remember that moment when I come back to them, when I am, showing up. And so to have this small group container, and that's why we've capped it, because we want to be able to have, give you that individual attention within the group, but also like, we don't want there to be too many voices in there. We want it to feel like a safe space. Yeah. So it's going to be a very limited number, for the first round. And then, we'll open it back up again.
Yeah. I think it's so important to embrace vulnerability through this process. We like, again, I'm just thinking about clients who are like, maybe we should postpone this week. I didn't do the work. It's like, that's when you need to show up the most. When things are like, it feels good to show up when we're all like high and we have our wins to share and everything like that. But when we're in it and shit is tripping us up and we're struggling, like that's when we get to show up the most and ask for the support that we need, ask for the help we need, and be brave and be seen and held in that space. So I love the hybrid model. I love how much support it offers, how much accountability. Also, our platform is great for constant touches during the week too, for any questions that
so between calls, if you're feeling like you need a little extra support, we have an incredible training platform that basically serves as like a small private Facebook group, but just with a lot less distractions. And you can jump right in there, ask a question, celebrate a win if you're having a great week, because those happen also all the time. And so we want to make sure that you're in there, and other people can share with you, and you just feel like you've gained all these amazing entrepreneur friends, to share your wins and share your struggles with, and feel supported.
Totally. So good.
Yeah. So in keeping all of that in mind, is there anything else that we're missing, Max? I think we're good with what we got, what we're getting. So this week, keep an eye out for all of our posts this week. Comment freedom on any of our posts that will give you access to some more information. If you want to jump directly on a call with us, just to kind of see, like, honestly, the calls are free. They're clarity calls. They're not sales calls. They're really just like, hey, what's going on in your life? Let's chat. And this can happen at any time. If you guys are ever feeling like you need some extra support, we can jump on a call and really get down to, the brass tacks of what's going on and see if this is a fit for you. And we can give you some more information from there. We're super excited.
So excited.
Yeah. This is like going to be this is a game changer right now for everyone involved, even us as coaches, like to be able to provide this space for people. We're stoked. So hope this was valuable to you. And we look forward to chatting more about it within the group with you guys this week. And keep us posted. Let us know what you think.
For sure. We are just over the moon. This is like the easiest thing to share with people, because we know how valuable it is and how transformative it is. So if you're feeling exhausted and stuck and like you don't know where to turn next and like you're in decision fatigue and you just want support, please, take that seriously, take yourself up on that and reach out to us.
Definitely. Absolutely. Love you all. We will see you next Monday and have a wonderful, wonderful week.
Bye-bye, babies.